Rachel Kirkland, the Modern Shaman. Thanks for joining me for question and answer time with the Modern Shaman. So if you are new to me, I will just say welcome, and please feel free to subscribe to this channel and pass these videos on to anyone that you feel like would be blessed by them or that they would be helpful for. And also, if you want to know what I'm up to, kind of my story, my history, what I do, and how I connect with people for sessions, feel free to visit my website, which is just themodernshaman.net. Okay, so let me just jump right into reading the question. Hi Rachel, thanks for all that you do. I have a question about getting caught up in the people around us. Oftentimes I feel like I get caught up in the drama of people at work. Is there any way or technique that you've developed to help people stay outside of drama? Question mark. Staying outside of drama. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's funny. A little bit of a story here. So, a long time ago when I was little, when I was a kid, I used to have this reoccurring dream. I had different reoccurring dreams. A lot of my dreams as a child they were never just like random, you know, they were either like these reoccurring dreams or very symbolic dreams or past life memories or things like this. And I had this one recurring dream where I would, you know, and this is growing up in Texas, and I was sitting on this hay bale, you know, those big circular, I don't know if you've seen a hay bale, but you know, it's hay that they're going to put in there for the cows and things to eat in the field, and it's a big circle, but they're hard. Like if you've ever sat on a hay bale, it's really pokey and like, anyways, so I was sitting on top of this hay bale in the dream, and I was watching this sunset, and it was this beautiful sunset. I was kind of on the top of this little sloping hill, and I was like anticipating the sunset and kind of had gotten up there, and like it was my little special time as a kid or something. And in the dream, I would sit and I would start to just watch the sunset, and it would go down and it would start to turn all like pastel, you know, and start to look like some sort of watercolor. And just as I would get really into it, kind of emotionally, or just be like, oh man, this is so beautiful. Just as I would get to that space, this movie reel, you know, as if it looked like a film strip, like it would be like a strip that went all the way across. And again, I'm going to age myself here, but if you guys remember back in the day, like old school film, you know, like it had, what film used to look like, you know, it had the little dots where you would load the camera and it would hook on the camera. So it would look like a film strip, and on that film strip would play all this drama, just like scenes from, the scenes were random, but I'm pretty sure they were from my life, but they would be these like little vignetted scenes, and they were always really dramatic, you know, like somebody in a fight, or gosh, I wish I could remember what they were, but I just remember the energy of it was really dramatic. So it was like trying to take my attention away from watching the sunset, and I was in such a peaceful, like beautiful space, you know, before, and then this reel would kind of try and distract me or get me in this energy of drama. And because I used to get that dream so much, it's funny, but in the dream, I would teach myself how to not pay attention to the drama. It's funny because I'm talking about this now and I'm like, this is so not a normal little kid dream, but it was normal for me, like as a kid. And I never thought it was weird, but so in that dream, I would teach myself how to pan out, is what I called it. And, you know, just like if you've used, you know, an SLR camera, like that has an actual lens on it that you would pan in or pan out, you would move the lens back into more of a peripheral vision. So I would teach myself, like I would be sitting there trying to watch the sunset on this hay bale, and I would just almost in the dream, in those moments of feeling myself getting caught up in the drama, I would say to myself in my head, like, pan out, or like get peripheral, like look at your peripheral vision, because that was really the only way. Like, I couldn't, the film strip almost covered the whole thing, so it's not like I could move my body. I was sitting, in the dream I couldn't move my body, but I could move my vision to where it became peripheral vision. And not that I could use one eye over the other, but if I just like almost relaxed this vision in the foreground and let myself stay a little bit more in the background, then I was able to just let the screen, it was like I would see movement on this little video reel, but I wouldn't feel the energy of the reel. And I realized I was able to very selectively pinpoint what energy, and by energy I mean the feeling, the emotional tone of the dream, or the emotional tone that I wanted to connect with. That if I wanted to connect with the emotional tone in the sunset, because they were very contradictory energies. You know, the sunset, and I think that was the point of the dream, the sunset was so relaxing and peaceful and meditative. And then the film strip was so opposite. You know, it was high drama, anger or frustration or these types of things that would kind of suck you in. So I was able to pan out and kind of selectively choose to align energetically with the sunset. And then I would feel myself like almost like my physical body, I was sitting there on that hay bale, would relax, because I don't know why I remember this, but it would be like my butt would get heavy all of a sudden. And I always use that as like a trigger to know, oh, I'm no longer paying attention to this dream happened so much. It was such a like reoccurring dream that you start to notice the subtleties in the dream because it happens so often. And my butt would get kind of heavy as I realized I was panning out. And so it's funny because I became able to do that in regular life. And I always just called it panning out. I used to teach photography, so maybe that's just my terminology. You could just call it peripheral awareness or peripheral living or whatever. Peripheral energy. It's being able to selectively tune into an energy that you want. So you vibrationally kind of dial into a particular energy. And then also whatever is going on in the foreground or whatever is going on almost like up in your face, being able to move your consciousness out. Not totally out of body, but just enough, like peripheral vision, to no longer have your central focus on the foreground, instead have it on the background. Okay, so steps to doing that, if I was to give you some steps to doing that, if you've ever used your peripheral vision, and this is just in a very practical way, you have to relax your eyes, okay? You can't have a tense energy. You can't have a tight fight kind of feel to you. So much of non-physical awareness or extrasensory perception and psychic senses that I teach and these types of things are done in this energy. They can't be telekinesis, teleportation, all of this stuff. It has to be done in the space that's almost like this peripheral vision. It's not a tight, pointed focus. It's non-material. So it's actually in the space in between, so to speak, right? And if you're trying to look at something peripherally, like do it just for a second. Okay, so you're looking at this video. Let's make my video the drama foreground, right? So if I'm doing all this, like, getting all crazy, some energy, or, another way that would be great to practice this is put on like a little action movie, go on Netflix and put on an action movie and like a really intense action scene where someone's shooting and running or whatever. So you get that in your foreground. And when you're there, you sit for a second, you breathe, okay? You get your body in a relaxed state. Now, whether that's sitting, like in my reoccurring dream, I was always kind of sitting like in lotus pose or something. It wasn't like totally like, but it was in a relaxed sitting position. You can do it standing too, because I've done this when I've been in conversations with people. like at the bank, or when there's been a misunderstanding and somebody gets all crazy and I've been standing there. So you can practice it standing or sitting, but you get something in your foreground that's dramatic, right? So just like I was saying, to practice it now. And in that moment, you activate your peripheral energy, okay? So you pan out just enough to use your peripheral vision, use that as a trigger or a starting point, okay? And pan out and notice, just using your peripheral vision, what's going on around you. What's going on around the foreground, right? So if you're watching this with your phone or your computer or whatever, what's going on around that? Notice the stillness around that and see how far out you can pan out. I'm doing it. I'm trying to do two things at once. Okay, so once you've done that, you'll notice the more and more you do this, literally the sounds change. It's like the volume dial in your ear turns into utilizing your extrasensory ears, your internal hearing. Okay, this is where your clairaudience happens. This is where telepathy happens. It's hearing, but in the non-physical realm. So it almost like turns down the material and the physical foreground, and you'll notice the sounds almost kind of start to blur a little bit. A lot of times the visuals too will kind of start to blur because you're focusing more on the outside. So from here, when all these people are having chaotic things going on around you, literally in that moment, pan out, okay? It's really subtle. Some people will notice, but others won't at all. You can still talk from this space. When I'm talking from a panned out space, or this peripheral energy, I speak a lot slower, and I notice I take longer breaths in between my words. Actually, let me do it now. Another way to do this, and I know I have a video on this, is to basically like move your state of awareness. If you know how to move your third eye, or you know how to move your consciousness in and out of a body, like remote viewing, you push it just far enough back to the back of your skull to where you're still engaged in the body. You're not out of the body, but like to your well of dreams chakra, this like the back of the head. You can push your consciousness back here just to where you're no longer in the foreground, to where the energy of things almost takes a little longer to get to you, so it has less emotional impact. It's a distanced or a detachment form of energy. It's like you've literally given yourself more space energetically between what's going on in that drama and your consciousness. Remember, our consciousness, our body is just a suit for our consciousness, but we can move in and out of it. It's not restricted to form. So you can move it and have a state of awareness in any part of the body. And this is what we do when I teach medical intuition and things like this. We move our consciousness into a certain organ to check it out and make sure it's healthy and vital or whatever it may be. So you can move your consciousness, if you would like, to take a second, breathe, and move it to the back of the head. So let me do that while I'm talking to you. So I just breathe. These are not difficult things to do. It just takes practice. And then I put all my attention on moving my consciousness back into the back of my head. So when I'm in this state, same with the peripheral state. Things in the foreground all kind of blend together. And if you're having a conversation with someone in this space, your energy will remain pretty constant as long as you stay here. I hope that's a blessing to you guys. Mwah! Love you.